Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for coming out on this gorgeous day. This is the final concert of the whole summer Brown Bag Lunch concert series for 2025. Thank you for being here. This is the first time we haven't had to cancel any concerts all summer for rain in, I don't know, many years. My name is Jolinda. I'm with Montpelier Music School, and we've been producing these concerts this summer with huge amount of help. Actually, we would not be able to do this without our sponsors, and I know how it is. I got to thank the sponsors, but in all seriousness, all of our sponsors are very local businesses that we just are so grateful that they care as much about getting free art and performance in the community. So please give a round of applause for the amazing Hunger Mountain Co-op, Montpelier Alive, Sarducci's Restaurant, Skinny Pancake, Shippey Family, I Care, Capitol Grounds, Bear Pond Books, The Drawing Board, and the one and only Woodbury Mountain Toys. Let's hear it. I know that sometimes Amazon is cheaper, but let's remember those local businesses, they pump a lot of life and energy and good stuff into this community. I don't want to delay anymore. My job is to thank all our sponsors and to thank you and all the artists we had this summer. This is just a wonderful series to be a part of, and I'm very grateful that you all are showing up. Please remind your friends, this is the last concert, but this is going to happen every summer, Wednesdays at noon at this amazing church courtyard. So please spread the word, and I will let the amazing Green Mountain Swing Band take it away. A one, two, three.
Well, thanks for coming. We're Green Mountain Swing, strictly a non-profit swing band, and we started off today's concert with a Learner and Low special called On the Street Where You Live. And coming up next is a number called Mr. Timmons, referring to Bobby Timmons, who played piano with Art Blakey's Jazz Messengers. Here we go, Mr. Timmons. Mr. Timmons. Okay, coming up next is a number by a musician that a lot of us know, Rich Iacona, and he wrote this song called Sin Palabras.
Hey, how you doing? I'm from New Jersey. When I ask how you doing, you say, how you doing? This next piece is a piece made famous by Bobby Darin, and we're going to take it and I'm going to make it my own. Beyond the Sea. Sing along if you feel like it. Somewhere beyond the sea, she's there waiting for me. Half of the time, do that me, and then to her arms, ba-ba-doo-dee-dee go. Somewhere beyond the sea, she's there watching for me. If I could fly like birds on high, then straight to her arms I'd go sailing. It's far beyond the moon, it's near beyond the stars. I know beyond a doubt, my heart will lead me there soon. And we'll meet beyond the shore. And we'll kiss just like before. Happy we'll be beyond the sea. And never again will I go sailing. I know beyond a doubt, my heart will lead me there soon. We'll meet beyond the shore, and we'll kiss just like before. And happy we'll be beyond the sea, and never again will I go sailing. No more sailing, bye-bye sailing, bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you for singing along.
Okay, that was Beyond the Sea, and we had our great vocalist, Matt Van Wagger, singing it for you. Speaking of Matt, he's our scholarship chairman, and I want to mention something about our music scholarship fund. You may see a chair out there in front with the hat next to it. Well, we are a non-profit band. In other words, we don't pay ourselves anything. Any revenue that we get, and it's a lot of it. Anyway, it all goes into a music scholarship fund for music students in the middle schools and the high schools here in this part of Vermont. Normally we give out about $10,000, $11,000 worth of scholarships per year, and these are maybe $400, $500, $600 scholarships per person, and it helps them pay for music lessons and music camps during the summer. So if you feel so inclined, please feel free to donate some in the hat there by the in the middle of the field here. Thanks. Okay, our next number, it's Happy Together, and it's dedicated especially to someone who's out here in the audience this afternoon.
Ready for the glare. Sharknado. I got a nice glare view of the screen.
Coming up next is a number called Hit the Bricks, and it was made famous by the Gordon Goodwin Big Band, He's called his band the Big Fat Band, fat spelled P-H-A-T. So here we go with Hit the Bricks. Now we're going to bring up to our vocal mic now our music director, Liz Fitzgerald. And she's going to sing for you a number called Gentleman is a Dope, which is recorded and probably made famous by Sarah Vaughan and Count Basie Band.
But, excuse me, by the way, this is probably from the only show that Rodgers and Hammerstein did that was a flop. It's called Allegro, and you've probably never heard of it. But it's a good song. Doesn't know how happy he could be.
want to remind you that we're happy to accept donations to our Music Scholarship Fund. This Music Scholarship Fund, in case you just showed up here today, awards scholarships to middle and high school students in this part of Vermont. It helps them pay for music lessons and music camps and such. So if you feel so inclined, we'd be happy to accept donations here tonight. The hat, which is set up in the middle of the field here. Thank you. Okay, that number was called May's Way, and now we're going to follow that up with a number called Just the Two of Us.
Ladies and gentlemen, how good is this music? Let's hear it. Green Mountain Swing Band. They never, ever disappoint. It's so fun. You guys sound great. My name's Jo Linda. I just want to thank you all again for supporting these concerts this summer. The Brown Bag Lunch Summer Concert Series is wrapping up today. For those of you who are just strolling by, this is the 10th of 10 glorious. We are unbelievably lucky this summer with incredible weather. We had 10 Wednesday noon concerts. Hunger Mountain Co-op is our lead sponsor, and we could not be doing this without them. And I also want to thank all our other local sponsors in no particular order. Bear Pond Books, Capitol Ground Cafe, The Drawing Board, Sarducci's, Shippy Family Eye Care, Skinny Pancake, Woodbury Mountain Toys, and of course Montpelier Alive, whose equipment and huge amount of support all makes this so possible. So thank you for coming out and supporting these. And it is the last one of the summer, but this is something we do every year. So please tell everyone you know. Wednesdays at noon, not Sunday. Wednesdays at noon, great music for free. Because your local businesses care about keeping free, fully accessible art and performance in this community. And don't forget when you're going to go shop on Amazon. Who are these businesses that are putting all this good energy back into the community? All right, let's hear a little more. Thank you.
we finish up our concert here this afternoon with our last number, we'd like to repeat again that we're strictly a nonprofit. We're a registered nonprofit here in the state of Vermont. We don't pay ourselves anything. All of the money goes into that. All the money we make goes into its music scholarship fund to benefit music students in middle and high schools here in Vermont. So please feel free to donate money into the hat there in the middle of the field. Thank you.